It's running. Do it live. Hello and welcome to the cutting stream for the second project. On Monday we went over how to design an SVG file from a photograph to create a simple stencil type image to cut out of wood. Sorry for the delay, but it turns out that the shaper was choking on the size of the file because it was too complex, so I had to go in and make some edits to simplify it down. So you'll notice when I show it to you on screen that it's smoother than it was on Monday. And that's just going into Inkscape, go to Paths, Simplify. If you have too many individual little edges like we have with all the dog's fur, that is too complex for the shaper to handle, just go in, do that, pop it in. It still looks more or less how I wanted it to look, so it's fine the way it is. So I'm just going to switch over to camera view, and let me just get in there. There we go, and we're in. Okay, so that's her, that's Abby. Like I said, the lines are a lot smoother. I actually did simplify twice on it. Once might have been enough, but I didn't want to take the chance at that point. So here we can place it using the 1/8 inch diameter bit today. Won't be able to go as deep, so we'll definitely have to do 3 passes. I'd say about 0.2, 0.4, and then 0.6, and then yeah, so we'll do 4 passes, finishing pass. Because I think this board was about 0.64 as opposed to 0.75, which was why we had the issues with the last project. So we go ahead and place this here. Usually I want to hang this camera from the ceiling like so, pointing down. Maybe have something gripping onto it that'll. But for now, just put it like this and aim it at the screen when appropriate. And try not to trip over the cord. That always helps. I still haven't made the adapter for the vacuum. Eventually I'll get around to that. I have the OpenSCAD script for that. I just have to input the variables for the diameters. But once that's sorted out, I won't be wasting any more painter's tape attaching the vacuum to the shaper. And that would be nice. I'm supposed to use the painter's tape for painting. I can have it then when I need it. So we can just get started right away on this. So, see, we got our line showing. And there's a lot of odd little circles in there. So we're going to have to work around that. That is weird. Also gotta do something about that offset. So seems to be a 0 offset yet. Well, anyway, our bit is 1/8. Alright. So that line. Not sure what to do about these little circles, these odd little circles. We're gonna have to be very careful about that. Must be little tiny inconsistencies in the actual SVG file. You're gonna have to look into how to clean those up at some point. But for now, find a safe place like around here underneath the snout. And maybe cut out the inside first. Here. Yeah, maybe we should cut the inside parts out first. Do one whole pass at 0.2 inches, but we're going to go too deep. Because this bit isn't as long as the other one. So we'll do one whole pass around the inside and the outside. We got 2 inside sections here, one here as well, so 4 inside sections. So it's 5 cuts total. Although pretty long ones. The whole thing's going to be 12 inches wide. But we'll see what happens with the circles. As you can see, it actually just goes past it. It might actually be a separate shape, which is good, because all we have to do is then start on a part of the track that isn't in the circles. We'll know we're on the right track. So all these little artifacts will just get skipped right over. So it's not a loop like I thought it would be. Because the first one I pointed to while the machine was running, I was going to say later, it looks like the path curves and then goes, and then we're going to wind up cutting into our shape where we don't want to. But it looks like it's actually its own separate shape that we can just ignore. It's probably one of the reasons there was so much lag with the shaper when I was first placing the shape. Which is one of the reasons why the stream started late. So from here, should be able to just finish making the pass. I'll just have to pull the shaper back a bit so I know I'm on the right track. Oh, actually it highlights black. See, now it's going to try and cut that circle. I don't want that. Now it's going to cut the track. Now it's going to cut the other. Now it's going to cut the other circle. I don't want that. Get right here. Once you see what's black, you know you're on the right track. And again, if it rhymes, it's probably true. We've been over that. And there we have it. Our first cut finished already. Well, the first pass, the first cut of 4. You can see the dog's eye starting to form here, the little nose here. And I was picking up the camera during the cut to point out some really cool looking artifacts. Lots of real interesting little artifacts on the screen there. So that's always fun. I'll be pointing those out throughout. I don't need to turn the machine off. If you don't need to hear an explanation, you know what they are. Just don't want anyone missing out on getting to have a look at them. Especially that one that was really tightly packed. It was kind of a starburst sort of thing. see here, the artifacts actually did merge with the actual path, so what I had to do was I had to jump off the path, pick the spot after the loops, and then get back on, so you see that little gap there. You see how that looks. Tape got messed up, so I'll have to get fresh tape for the vacuum there, but without further ado, let's look at the actual, should be able to get a good view of that, right? Yeah, there's the dog face. It's right there. We're already seeing it. And that's where we had that little issue. You can see, I think I made the right call. I think if I cut up into here, it might not look so nice. And also, I want this whole thing to be as solid as possible, so here's what it is. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to make the outside cut now. Get out the outside of the dog. And maybe do the ears real quick, actually. Two little inner parts of the ears. Just real quick. Quick cuts. Then do the outside, and then once we have the full 0.2 pass down, then I'm just going to cut the inside all the way. You know, all 3 additional passes. Get all those pieces out of there. Then I'm going to cut the outside all the way. Pull out our shape. So far, I like it. So far it's coming up pretty good. I'm surprised because this is sort of a last minute project I came up with on Monday. A little help. I wasn't sure how it was going to work out. I didn't have a lot of time to plan it. And I really should have put more time into fine-tuning the SVG itself instead of just knocking it out in half an hour and then trying to get it running today. Now I know. Next time, do a check zoomed in for little artifacts and clean them up. Two things about the left ear. One, it's a mess of artifacts. There's just a ton up there, as you saw. Two, it was all so small and close together, the cut I actually wanted to make, that I hardly had to move the shaper at all. I just held down the green button, which makes it follow the path when you're doing an online or outside or inside cut. It doesn't work for pocketing, of course, because there's no one direction to go in with pocketing. But yeah, it's coming out pretty good. So far, we've got what looks like a little dog in the wood. You know? Old May about the piece of wood where the nuts look kind of like the dog, and they're like, hey, I think I should take my dog to the vet, and they say, I would. Anyway, time for the outside cut. This is going quick and smooth, and my goggles are foggy as all get out. So I'll be right back. I need some paper towels. For me to see. Even though this thing does a great deal of the work for me, I still need to see. Squeaky. Now that my goggles are all squeaky clean, tighten. There we go. Let's do the outside cut. Have a look at this. I got a garbage bag over there. Okay. here, I'm too close, and the camera is no longer able to point at the, it's pointing like here-ish, and the dots are back here, so I figure if from here, it can read these dots, then from here it should be able to read these dots too. So I added one more row of dots to the end, so I gotta update the scan. Once I do that, it should be good to go, although I gotta smooth these out. They're a bit bumpy. Trying not to scuff the paint off me though, so let me stop working. So I'm just gonna start the scan, and we're extending our workspace like this way. We want to capture the entire dog as best we can. I think that's as far back as we can get. So we're able to go a little farther back, a little farther forward. Now it's in the red, but as soon as we reach the edge of where our dog is, full black, full bars. Now, if we go to where we stop cutting, unfortunately we lose our cuts, but now we go from being in the red and running completely out to being 75%, which is more than passable. 25 is enough. So when it dips below 25% dots, it stops working. Alright, there's our doggo. There she is. Now here we got the, if I wanted, I could just cut the outside bit out, leave these parts in, and just cover it with tape and paint it. I could stain it. I was thinking of just having this piece, removing this, and that, and then just staining the whole thing black. But I could leave these in as they are. I could. And just leave the track in to delineate them. So now, it's a tough decision. What should I do? Do I take it out or do I leave it in? That's a tough one. I don't know what I want to do with this. I know once I make this cut though, I don't have a lot of double stick tape under here. So it's just going to come out. And it's going to be too late to cut these. So I can't just cut this and then make my decision. It's a tough one. What does it look like those missing? Yeah. This is a tough call. Not sure what I want to do with this. I think I'm going to cut deep enough that I could pop these out later. If I felt like it. But then they'll stay in if I don't pop. No, I don't want to do that. I think I'm going to leave them in. I think I'm just going to go around the outside. Around the outside. And just finish it up. And call it. So then I got stains right there. Some nice dark stains I could use. This in particular, the espresso, although it's a little low. I'd have to get a can of that. Trouble is staining just this part without getting this part. Be very meticulous with the taping of it. Whereas originally I was going to stain the whole thing espresso because this was going to be gone, this was going to be gone, etc. So just do a coat over it with the stain. It's so simple. Leaving the pieces in kind of complicates things. So maybe I could just use some paints, a paintbrush, and be delicate, but I don't know. But I'm really feeling leaving these in. You can take them out. I'm going to leave them in. So let's get to cutting. giving you the old Hawaiian middle finger earlier. And that's because the sawdust had been filling in the gap so high that it looked like it wasn't actually cutting deeper. And it threw me off, and I had to pull the vacuum out and check, but it was absolutely cutting just fine. And everything is fantastic. This dog is coming out wonderfully. Now we're going to make the 0.6 pass. I'm not sure, though, if this bit's going to be able to handle that, because it's tapered, right? So it's going to get wider. I know it can only cut so much at a time, because it's a half-inch length shank and an 1/8-inch diameter, but I think after a certain depth, I might start to champ for this edge here. Not that I'd mind that too much. So like I say, let's just see what happens. If I have to buy a new bit, I have to buy a new bit. Cheap enough, like $15? I don't know. I haven't had to buy one yet, so I don't know. Can't be that much. Sample what that'll look like, and it looks good. I mean, it seems to have taken just a little bit extra meat off of here. Not too much. You know, see it's a little wider. You can barely tell that this gap is wider than this gap. It's just starting to get where it's tapering, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think at 0.7 is when we're all the way through. So I might take a quick 0.7 sample, just to see. Although we should be able to cut half an inch at a time. We're already 0.4. So if we're going another 0.3, we could probably just do this in one more pass. Anyway, instead of 4 passes, make it 3. Just do the last 0.3. I don't know. I'm feeling bold. Let's do it. Let's do that 0.7. Let's make it happen. Alright. Good to me. Oh, and you know what? Another upside of leaving this in? Okay, by leaving this in, we give this whole thing more structure, because look at how thin this is. Imagine if I tried to just pull that up, this whole piece from here to here would just snap and have to be re-glued. But because this is all just a solid piece, and this is just a lip, it's gonna be solid as a rock here. It's gonna be good. But I was right to manually pencil in a bunch of extra meat on the dog's face down here to wrap around to give it that outline, because it's thin as it is. After I did that, it would be way too thin. So that's all the cutting for the day. What are we, an hour in? Not even? This is a short one. Yeah, 52 minutes. So, you can tell where the tape was, the double stick tape. Here and here. Oh man, that sawdust is cakey and gluey. Ooh boy. That's going to be a pain. Oh, but look. I used much weaker tape this time though. It's thinner. It's not as sticky as the other stuff. I'll show you the two kinds I got. I came up a little too easy. I got one roll of tape that's too strong and one roll of tape that's too weak. I need something in between. See, I got this one I got off Amazon. And that's the one I just used, and it's, you know, thinner, which is nice, which is what I was going for, but it's also not nearly as strong. And this whole piece actually, you see, doesn't really hold so good. But this tape is way too strong, and I break work pieces trying to get it off. You see, this workpiece over here was the one I did my last couple of projects on, the last three actually, the two training ones and the last stream project. And trying to get that project out, I ended up, and that's a waste. It's less of that wood I have to work with if I want to make something small out of that little area there. It's a real pain. That one, and I think some of the tape should still be stuck to the backing. Yep, right there. See that? Ridiculous. I need a happy medium. Instead of these equally dysfunctional opposite extremes. Gotta find that centrist tape. That woke radical centrist tape. Right. Oh, that overly aggressive extremist tape, or overly weak and feckless extremist tape. But now, yeah, it's definitely too late to put this back in because it's going to be out of place. So if I tried to position this perfectly, it would not be. It's always going to be off by at least like a micrometer or some shit. So there's no way I'm making these cuts now. This is a done deal. This dog face is what it is. But it's good. I like it. I think it came out great. I think it looks just like Abby. Maybe I can get Abby to come down here. And, pose. Probably not. She doesn't like the noise. She's probably staying upstairs all day. Probably gonna have to clean the rug. Anyway, let's switch back, and so that's it. Dog's cut out. On my own time, I'll sand it down a little. There's just no reason I can't just give this a little once over on stream. Why not? Break out the orbital sander. The camera is no longer being used by OBS, so let me just put it to the side. Not gonna do cleanup though. Waste everybody's time. Leave the shaper out and just sand this doggo. Sand this doggo face right down. I can unplug the shaper at this point. Plug the orbital sander into the network power strip. Yeah, I'm worried that edge router and such is going to get damaged by all this dust. It's probably a bad place for it. Might have to address that down the road. Did I just click something? What did I click? Okay, I clicked nothing. Okay. Oh, hello, Abigail. She came. And she's running away. Do I really look scary with the goggles? Okay. Well then, I'm just gonna stand. It's gonna switch to the other camera. Show the comparison, but and well, it's not silky smooth, but it's pretty smooth. I could go over it with the 15 later. They're just showing that on the stream. But I think we're done enough to call it a show anyway. I could do something with this to make it a little prettier down the road. That's it. Goodbye. I said